My parents bought me a seaside villa, which my husband then gave to his assistant to live in. She posted a 9-picture grid of a pool party on her social media, complete with the location tag. Thanks to the president for the luxury villa. I'll keep working hard. In the photos the butler sent me, the courtyard statues were smashed, and the flowers I had planted were all dug up. I immediately forwarded the pictures to my husband. Ethan, what is the meaning of this? Why is someone else in my villa? He replied with a voice message almost instantly, the sound of waves in the background. Don't be so petty. It's not like we don't have other places to live. In 3 hours. I want her out of there. And I want the villa restored to its original condition. He read the message but didn't reply. 5 minutes later. I put the villa up for auction for $1. His antique collection was smashed to pieces. Since someone wasn't listening, I didn't mind teaching him a lesson. The moment I put my phone down, it rang. It was Ethan, who had just ignored my message. Audrey, what did you do? Why was Chloe kicked out by security? His voice was laced with a palpable anger. My tone was calm. That villa is mine. I just sold it. The new owner's only condition was that everyone and everything be cleared out within an hour. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Audrey, have you misunderstood something? There's nothing between me and Chloe. She's just my assistant. His tone had softened a little. Don't you think you're being a little too aggressive? A little too sensitive? I couldn't help but laugh. Ethan, you're the one who doesn't know how to keep his distance. Who doesn't know how to behave? And now you're blaming me. He didn't answer the question, deftly changing the subject. Audrey, you have so many other villas. They're just sitting there, going to waste. I was just making rational use of our resources. I swear, nothing inappropriate happened between me and Chloe. He paused, his voice tinged with impatience. Don't be so petty. My lips curved into a smile, but my eyes turned cold. Since you're so generous, I'm sure you won't mind if your precious treasures are turned into a pile of junk. With that, I opened my photo album and sent him a few pictures. In the photos, his prized antique collection, which he had amassed over many years, was smashed to smithereens, the fragments scattered all over the floor. There were a few seconds of silence on the other end. Oh, Dre. He enunciated my name, one syllable at a time. I knew this was a sign of his extreme anger, but I didn't care. Ethan, you saw the pictures, right? This is the price you pay for challenging my bottom line. If you ever dare to cross the line again, you'll lose a lot more than just these worthless trinkets. With that, I hung up. In all our years of marriage, we had rarely had a major fight, but that didn't mean I would back down out of fear of conflict. Once you start to compromise on your bottom line in a marriage, all you'll get is the other person pushing their luck, especially since this marriage hadn't been born out of pure love in the first place. His family had been desperate to break into the capital's inner circle and had needed my family's help. That's why we had had this business-motivated marriage. When we had first met, he had been very thoughtful and gentle, and he had a very deceptive face, and was very competent in his work. At the time, I had thought that maybe a life with a person like him wouldn't be so bad, so I hadn't objected to my family's arrangement. Fortunately, in our married life, we had gradually developed feelings for each other. We had had a very sweet time together and were once considered a perfect match by the outside world. But no matter what, I had always been clear that I had to put myself first. Later, the passion had faded, and life had settled into a routine. I could understand and accept that. All relationships eventually become routine, and some even fade away. But I would never allow that fading to be caused by a third party. Ever since I was a child, the thing I hated most was other people touching my things. If something got dirty, I would throw it away without a second thought. And if a person got dirty, the same rule applied. Ethan didn't contact me again. He was always like that. The moment his mistake was exposed, he would choose silence as a way to escape. Until this afternoon, when a message from my friend, Maya, popped up. Audrey, why are you ignoring me? I just saw you at the venue. I was calling your name, but you didn't even react. I frowned and quickly replied, I haven't been out all day. You must have seen someone else. Are you sure it wasn't you? I saw that royal blue mermaid gown you had custom made, and your husband was with her. Audrey, wait. I got a picture of her face. A photo popped up on my phone. He was in a perfectly tailored black suit, and she, beside him, was wearing my custom-made gown, smiling and talking to someone. I stared at the picture for a good 10 seconds. Before I could react, another message popped up. This time it was from his executive assistant, with a screenshot. It was her social media post. First time at the Zenith auction. Thanks to Mr. Hayes for showing me what real high society is like. Heart emoji. The accompanying picture was of her sitting in the front row, with him beside her. A faint smile on his lips. It was clear he had approved of her selfie and her caption. I suddenly remembered something. He hated having his picture taken. Even when we were at our most affectionate. If I wanted to take a picture together, he would always frown and refuse. It seems my punishment this morning was too light. Not only did he dare to take another woman to the most exclusive auction in our social circle, but he even let her wear my clothes and post a picture of them together on her social media. I immediately forwarded the picture to him. Explain this. Why is she wearing my dress? The message was marked as read, but there was no reply. A few minutes later, I took a picture and sent it to him. Maya's message popped up right after. Audrey, what did you send him? He just suddenly stood up and ran out. She couldn't even stop him. I didn't reply to my friend. His call was already coming in. In the picture, I was sitting in front of the fireplace, holding a small, exquisitely crafted wooden box. The surface of the box was spotless, clearly well maintained. Audrey, put that down. His voice was trembling, laced with a clear panic and anger. What do you think you're doing? Inside the box were a few carefully preserved items. A few yellowed photos, a bracelet, and a delicate jade pendant. The girl in the photos was smiling brightly. This was his white moonlight, his first love who had died of an illness. His family had once mentioned her in passing. I suddenly understood the reason for all his recent strange behavior. She bore a 7 or 8 tense resemblance to his first love. Audrey, don't touch those things. His voice was almost a plea. Ethan, you know I hate it when people touch my things. Just like how you're feeling right now. Now, have her take off that dress. There's a lounge at the auction house. Have her change. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end. Audrey, you only wear those dresses once. What's the big deal if she wears one you're not going to wear again? I let out a small laugh, but my voice was even colder. Ethan, my things. Even if I don't want them anymore, I don't allow other people to touch them. You have 2 choices now. Either you have her take off that dress before the auction starts, or... I shook the box in my hand, and the items inside made a soft clinking sound. You'll have to face the consequences. With that, I hung up. For the next while, Maya's messages kept coming in. Audrey, what did you say to him? Your husband just stormed in, his face as white as a sheet, and dragged her out without a word. Wait, they're back. Oh my God, what is going on? She's wearing a janitor's uniform. My lips curved into a smile. This was even better than I had expected. Audrey, her expression. Oh my God, it's priceless. Everyone is staring at them and whispering. I'm getting second-hand embarrassment just watching. Maya, take a few pictures for me. She quickly sent them over. In the photos, he was sitting there, his face impassive, and she, in an ill-fitting gray uniform, her makeup smudged, her eyes red and swollen. This auction is very exclusive. You're not allowed to leave in the middle of it. She's going to have to sit through the whole thing in that janitor's uniform. Her tone was full of a malicious glee. Your husband's face is as black as the bottom of a pot. Audrey, you're so ruthless. And her, who did she have to provoke? She had to provoke you. In the end, she probably won't even know how she died. After the auction, she sent another message. When they were leaving, your husband's face had turned purple, and she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. She sent a new picture. That royal blue mermaid gown was now in a trash can. Audrey, I got it. I immediately posted the picture on my social media, with a simple caption. Trash belongs in the trash. In less than 5 minutes, it had over 100 likes. Anyone with half a brain could see that the dress in the trash can was the same one she had been showing off in her post. My meaning was clear. Audrey, he lost a lot of face today. Is he going to cause you trouble when he gets home? I replied calmly. Don't worry. Even if he had a few more guts, he wouldn't dare. That night, when he came home, the pressure in the room was palpable. He walked up to me. Audrey, where are my things? he asked, his voice hoarse. I just stared at him, silent. He struggled to control his emotions. Audrey, I admit I was out of line today. I didn't consider your feelings. It was my fault. But I've already done what you asked. I've been humiliated in front of everyone. Can we just stop this? Give me back my things. I raised an eyebrow. Ethan, you were humiliated because of your own inappropriate behavior, not because of me. And about today. Aren't you going to explain? He avoided my gaze. We're just colleagues. I was just rewarding her for her good work. I sneered and pressed on. Ethan, there are so many ways to reward someone. Why did you choose the worst one? A luxury villa, an exclusive auction, a designer gown. For an ordinary girl, what do those things represent? You know very well. You wouldn't even take a picture with me, but you were willing to be in a picture with her. Every time you indulged her, you were giving her a clear signal. That's why she became more and more brazen, to the point where she even dared to provoke me. And her work, is it really good enough to deserve your rewards? He was silent. Your favoritism towards her. It's just because she looks like your white moonlight, right? I had bluntly exposed his thoughts. But a substitute is still a substitute. She can never be her. Ethan, you need to be clear about that. His breathing grew heavy. He was still silent. I took the small wooden box from behind my back and handed it to him, my tone softening. Ethan, I understand your obsession with her. I never wanted to ruin that beautiful memory you have of her. But I hope you won't ruin the beautiful thing we have. Today, it was the first time, and it has to be the last. He took the box and set it aside, then held me tightly. Audrey, I'm sorry. His voice was hoarse. I really know I was wrong. There's really nothing between me and her. I will definitely keep my distance from her from now on. Something like this will never happen again. Don't be angry anymore. Okay. His voice was pleading, his arms tight around my waist. I let out a small sigh and finally relented. I then looked up and bit him hard on the lip. Only when I tasted blood did I let go. This is the price you pay for offending me. Remember, this is the last time. Okay. He showed no impatience, his eyes burning with a fiery passion. He swept me up in his arms and carried me to our room. After a night of making up, my anger had mostly subsided. The next day, the auction incident and my pointed social media post had made her the laughingstock of the company, and his deliberate avoidance of her had set the tone for everyone else. The company was full of people who would kick you when you're down, the colleagues who had been fawning over her the day before. It was a mercy that they weren't now throwing stones. Someone had even posted pictures of her in the janitor's uniform all over the company's bulletin board. In the pictures, her eyes were red and swollen. She looked pathetic, and people would point and whisper as she walked by. That's her. The shameless one who wears the president's wife's hand. Me. Downs. Her life at the company became more and more difficult. The cafeteria ladies would put things in her food. She would often take a bite and her face would change. When she went to the restroom, the door would suddenly lock, and she would be trapped inside for the whole afternoon. The most ridiculous part was that everyone pretended as if nothing had happened. She had called him for help, but he had hung up on her. I heard about all this from his executive assistant, Mrs. Hayes. Should I intervene? I shook my head. Don't overestimate my kindness, and don't underestimate her ambition. She chose this path. She has to bear the consequences. A week later, the assistant told me that she hadn't come to work for 3 days. I thought she had finally given up and was going to quit. But as it turns out, I had underestimated her. That day, he had a very important international business negotiation, a project worth at least $100 million. 20 minutes before the meeting, his phone rang. It was her. He pressed the decline button without a change in expression. But then, she sent a text message. Mr. Hayes, I'm sorry to bother you at a time like this. I wanted to thank you in person, but it seems our fate has run its course. Thank you for your trust and guidance. Meeting you is the greatest luck of my life. I will repay your kindness in my next life. His face instantly turned pale. He quickly called her back, but there was no answer. In a panic, he had his assistant use the tracking system to find her location. Postpone today's meeting. With that, he ran out, not caring about anything else. When he arrived at her apartment, he found her unconscious in the bathtub. The wound on her left wrist was bleeding profusely. staining the entire tub of water red. Her face was ashen, her breathing shallow. He ran over like a madman, lifted her out, and rushed her to the hospital. I heard that on the way. Her body had started to grow cold, which had reminded him of the day his white moonlight had died in his arms. Fortunately, he had gotten her to the hospital in time, and she had been saved. When he found out about all the bullying she had been enduring at the company, he had flown into a rage. But at the time, I had known nothing about any of this. I happened to be at the same hospital for a prenatal check-up. The test results showed I was 6 weeks pregnant. I couldn't wait to tell him the good news. I saw him coming out of the elevator and happily ran up to him. Just as I was about to speak, he slapped me hard across the face. I stumbled and fell to the ground. My cheek was burning. I was completely stunned. In all our years of marriage, he had never laid a hand on me. Audrey, you're so vicious. He looked down at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of anger and disgust. I've already kept my distance from her. As you asked, do you have to drive her to her death to be satisfied? I looked at him, confused. She's already in the hospital. What are you doing here? With that smile on your face, are you going to try and drive her to suicide again? How could I have married such a poisonous woman? I clutched the prenatal report in my hand, wanting to explain, but he didn't even look at me. He just turned and left. I watched his retreating back and, from his curses, I pieced together what had happened. She had tried to kill herself, and he thought I was the one who had driven her to it. Then, I got a call from his executive assistant. Mrs. Hayes, I'm calling to say goodbye. Mr. Hayes just fired me for abuse of power, and he's promoted her to my position. What? It's not just me. All the employees who had any friction with her have been let go. Almost all of them. While I was so full of hope for our child's arrival, he had shown his true colors in the most brutal way. He had chosen her. After hanging up, I was filled with a burning rage. I tore the prenatal report to shreds. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, drawing blood. I forced myself to calm down. Ethan, since you've been so ruthless, don't blame me for being heartless. The price you'll pay for offending me, it's not something you can afford. I packed my things and went back to my parents' house. My father, knowing I was home, didn't ask any questions. He just quietly had the housekeeper prepare my old room. But my mother, with her keen intuition, sensed something was wrong. Audrey, did you and him have a fight? She sat on the edge of my bed and asked softly. I shook my head and didn't answer. The bruise on my wrist, from when I had fallen at the hospital, was exposed. What's this? My mother grabbed my wrist, her brow furrowed. It's nothing. I just bumped it. I didn't tell them he had hit me, nor did I mention her. I just said I wanted to come home and rest for a few days. But with their resources, they found out everything very quickly. I had been gone for 2 weeks, and he hadn't called or texted once. The Cold War, the silence, it was eroding the last bit of warmth between us. On social media, I saw her high-profile posts, pictures of her and him at various events. Every angle she chose was a declaration of her impending status as Mrs. Hayes. He took me to the International Business Summit today. So many people thought I was his wife. Thanks to him for the limited edition bag. Only the person who knows me best knows what I like. He said I'm his lucky star. We closed another big deal today. One post after another, with intimate pictures of them together. She was doing it on purpose. She knew I would see it. I let out a small laugh and turned off my phone. A grasshopper in autumn. It won't be hopping for long. 2 weeks later, at my arrangement, led by my father, a large group of his family's shareholders collectively withdrew their investments. His family's stock plummeted for several days in a row. On the 3rd day, his parents came to see me. Audrey, dear, how have you been? His mother held my hand, a look of concern on her face. I'm fine, I replied flatly and poured them some tea. Why did you suddenly come back to your parents' house? He said you weren't feeling well. We were so worried. She was probing. He hadn't even called me. And now he was having his parents come and check on me. My precious daughter is in excellent health. She's just been in a bad mood lately. My father suddenly spoke, his voice cold. His parents were taken aback and exchanged a look. What's wrong? Did that boy of ours do something to upset her? His father asked, frowning. My father sneered and slammed his teacup on the table. The upbringing of the Hayes family. It's truly something to behold. His parents' faces changed. My father, one word at a time, recounted everything that had happened. How he had put her in my seaside villa. How he had indulged her provocations. And how, at the hospital, he had, without asking any questions, put all the blame on me. Your son has already dealt with all the employees who had any friction with that woman. This is how your good son treats his wife. My father said coldly. His parents' faces went from green to white, and back again. This is impossible, his mother said, looking at me in disbelief. He's not like that. The facts speak for themselves, I said flatly. His father angrily dialed his number. You get over here right now, you ungrateful whelp. You've brought shame to our entire family. His father hung up and turned to me and my father, apologizing profusely. I'm so sorry. We've failed as parents. We will definitely give Audrey a satisfactory explanation for this. What kind of explanation could he give me? A false promise that I'm more important to him than her, or an honest admission that he had long since regretted this marriage. Either way, I didn't need it. I got up and went to my room, taking out the divorce papers. Today, this farce would finally come to an end. Soon, the door was pushed open, and he walked in. To my shock, she was with him. She was hiding behind him, a pitiful look on her face. My parents, who had been somewhat appeased by his parents' apology, their faces immediately darkened again. For him to have the audacity to bring her to my house at a time like this, he was a fool. His father rushed up to him and slapped him. You ungrateful whelp. You still dare to bring this woman here? His face instantly turned red. He was clearly not expecting his father to hit him in public. He was stunned. Dad, listen to me. Explain what? Another heavy slap landed on his other cheek. You've brought shame to our entire family. He had been hit in front of her. His pride was in tatters. Just as he was about to argue, his father kicked him, but she rushed forward and shielded him, taking the kick for him. She cried out in pain and fell to the ground, clutching her leg, her face pale, tears streaming down her face. His mother, seeing her pretentious act, was so angry she was trembling. You bitch, you're still putting on a show. She rushed at her, about to hit her, but he quickly shielded her in his arms. I watched this good show and couldn't help but laugh, clapping my hands softly. What a pair of devoted lovers. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with anger. Audrey, you poisonous woman. Don't you dare to slander my and her relationship. We're innocent. We have no inappropriate relationship. He held her tightly. I'm just atoning for your past transgressions. At his words, my father shot up from his seat, furious. What transgressions has my daughter committed? His father slapped him again. Shut up. If you say another word, I'll break your legs. His father turned and, with an apologetic smile, said to me in a gentle voice, Audrey, we will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation for this. I stood up and looked around, my gaze finally landing on him. Since both our parents are here, and everyone has seen his choice, there's no need to continue this marriage. I took out the divorce papers I had prepared. I've already drafted and signed the divorce papers. The assets are all divided according to our prenuptial agreement. Hearing that we were getting a divorce, the look of pain on her face vanished, replaced by a triumphant one. She had been crying and wailing on the floor just a moment ago, but now she was perfectly fine. He violently pushed her away and walked towards me, his face a mask of disbelief. Audrey, you can't divorce me. Why not? I raised an eyebrow. You're holding another woman in your arms, and now you're telling me we can't get a divorce. I told you, we're just colleagues, he argued. Ethan, I don't care what your relationship with her is. I only know that you've chosen her, not me. Since that's the case, there's no need for us to continue. I looked at him and said, one word at a time. Ethan, remember when we first got married? I made it very clear to you. I hate it when people touch my things. And you've crossed the line time and time again. How many chances have I given you? And which one have you ever cherished? If something is dirty, you throw it away. The same goes for people. I looked him straight in the eye. Ethan, I don't want you anymore. His face instantly turned pale. I took the divorce papers and handed them to him. The assets are all divided according to our prenuptial agreement. It's very fair to you. He didn't take them. Audrey, I'm not signing. You're just throwing a tantrum. Just then, my father stood up. Mr. Hayes, if you can have a peaceful divorce, we can still talk about future partnerships. Otherwise, all deals are off. His company was already on the verge of collapse. If the partnership really fell through, the losses would be immeasurable. His father was silent for a moment, then glared at him. Sign it. Under his parents' pressure, he finally signed. And just like that, we were officially divorced. She was standing on the side, a triumphant look in her eyes she couldn't hide. I met her gaze and smiled faintly. Congratulations. You finally made it. Her words sent his parents into a rage. You bitch, his mother screamed, grabbing her by the hair, her voice changing. It's all your fault. I called for the butler. Please see them out. Just then, our housekeeper came in with a bowl of medicine. Miss, your pregnancy prevention soup is ready. You should drink it while it's hot. His entire family was stunned. Audrey, you're pregnant. His voice was so hoarse it was almost unrecognizable. I took the bowl from the housekeeper and drank it before looking at him. Last month, the day you hit me at the hospital, I was going to share this good news with you, but you wouldn't even listen to a single word I said. I said calmly. His lips trembled, and he couldn't speak. From that day on, you have forever lost the chance to be this child's father. Hearing this, my father's face changed. What? He dared to hit you. My father rushed at him and punched him in the face. He stumbled back, but didn't fight back. You bastard. You dare to hit my daughter. And while she's pregnant, my father roared. He was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, but he just stared at me, his eyes full of a painful regret. Audrey. He muttered my name, his voice pleading. Please give me one more chance. Just one. Okay. A chance. I sneered. I've already given you many, haven't I? He suddenly broke down and knelt on the floor. Butler, please see them out. The butler unceremoniously showed his family out. His father pulled up the broken man. His mother grabbed her by the hair and pushed her out the door. His company ultimately avoided bankruptcy, but the divorce had a lasting impact. In just a few weeks, the company's stock had plummeted by nearly 40%. Several partners had terminated their projects, and over a dozen core investors had withdrawn their funds. He was no longer the decisive president he had once been. He would lock himself in the villa all day, the room littered with empty bottles. Alcohol had become his refuge. He was rarely sober. She, not wanting to give up the opportunity she had worked so hard for, would go to the villa every day to take care of him. She would clean the room, make him sobering soup, and even carefully wipe his body when he was passed out drunk. Mr. Hayes, have some water. She held a glass of water. He opened his red-rimmed eyes. His gaze focused for a moment. Then he became confused again. Isabel, is that you? He reached out and caressed her cheek. She froze. This was the 17th time. 17 times. He had mistaken her for his dead first love. I'm not Isabel. I'm Chloe. She suppressed the bitterness in her heart and reminded him softly. He seemed not to have heard her and continued to talk to himself. Isabel, you're back. Please don't leave me again. That's enough. She screamed, and the glass of water crashed to the floor, shattering. He was startled by the noise and looked at her, confused. I'm so stupid. Her voice was trembling. How could I have fallen for a man like you? A man who only ever sees me as someone else. You deserve this. You deserve all of this. She finally broke down, all the pent-up grievances and jealousy pouring out. You don't cherish your wife. And now that you're in this state, you're still thinking of your stupid first love. His gaze suddenly sharpened, the drunkenness in his eyes clearing a little. For the first time in days, he was completely sober. Chloe, don't you dare to talk about her like that. Get out. She let out a cold laugh. You're still protecting her. Do you know she's not even dead? He was stunned. What are you talking about? Am I talking nonsense? I'm telling you, she's not dead. She took your parents' money and faked her death. And she left a will, telling you to support her useless boyfriend's company. She was hysterical. He suddenly grabbed her by the neck and pinned her against the wall. Shut up. She struggled, her face turning purple. He let go. She collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. You think I'm lying? How do you think I know all the details between you two? She was the one who found me. She thought that just you supporting her boyfriend wasn't enough. She wanted more. So she found me, helped me get to you, to get more benefits. His face was ashen, his body swaying. Impossible. She's already dead. She sneered. Go and ask your parents. Ask them if they gave her 50 million. He dialed the number and, after confirming the truth, collapsed to the floor. The call was short, but it was enough to shatter him. His father's silence was too long, his denials too weak. Because of you two venomous women. I heard Audrey, he muttered to himself, his voice broken. She looked at his broken state and laughed out loud. Ethan, you can't blame anyone else. You're the one who pushed away the person who loved you most. He suddenly looked up. Get out, and never let me see you again. He returned to the company. He called an emergency board meeting and decisively cut ties with several problematic partners. 3 days later, the once glorious Jiaheng Technology declared bankruptcy. The company's founder, Henry Huang, was arrested for financial fraud. This company was the one his first love's boyfriend had founded, and the one he had been secretly supporting. At the same time, she received a text from an unknown number. I know you betrayed me. As night fell, she quickened her pace, a feeling that someone was following her. She turned into a small alley, hoping to take a shortcut home. The next morning, the front page of the morning paper had a story. 2 female bodies had been found in a small alley. The police initially believed it was a murder. Suicide. He looked at the paper, his gaze falling on the 2 names. Chloe, Isabel. Time flew by. Audrey was almost 1 year old. Her little face was round and cute. Her eyes like mine. Her nose like his. Every time I saw her sleeping so soundly, I couldn't help but kiss her little face. I had named her Audrey, hoping she would have a peaceful and happy life. Mom. Audrey said a new word today. I held my daughter, excitedly telling my mother, who had just come in from the garden. My mother put down her scissors and took Audrey from me, her face full of pride. Our Audrey is so smart. Come on. Say, Grandma, Grandma, Audrey said in her sweet, baby voice, making my mother laugh with joy. After my parents retired, they had handed the company over to me. Their greatest joy was now spending time with their granddaughter. He had come to see me several times, had knelt and begged me to remarry him. Each time, I had refused. The damage was done. Some things, even with an apology, cannot be mended. Audrey. Old Mr. Hayes called again. My father said. I shook my head. Dad, the rule can't be broken. They're not allowed to see her until she's 3. 3 years passed quickly. Audrey had grown into a smart and clever little girl, with a stubborn streak, just like me. When she first met his parents, she had sweetly called them Grandpa and Grandma, which had moved the old couple to tears. He stood on the side, his eyes full of hope. Audrey, I'm Daddy. Audrey tilted her little head and looked at him seriously. Mommy said that if you do something wrong, you have to be punished. You made Mommy sad, so I can't call you Daddy. The room was silent. He knelt down, trying to be at her level. Daddy knows he was wrong. Daddy is very sorry. Sorry is no use, Audrey said, in a serious, yet childish voice. Mommy said that once something has happened, there's no medicine for regret. He looked up at me, his eyes full of a painful regret. I looked at him and smiled faintly, not saying a word. He once had the chance to have a complete, happy family, but he had shattered that chance with his own hands. Now, my career was thriving. I had a lovely daughter and loving parents. My life was full and happy. No one is indispensable. He would come to see her every day, and every time he left, he would stand in the yard, looking at us in the living room from a distance. I knew what he was thinking. If time could be turned back, he would have made a different choice. But there are no ifs. In life, everyone has to be responsible for their own choices. And I didn't need a late apology, didn't need anyone's guilt.